Carrying the Xuanwu pendant and traveling to the world of full-time mages, Huayu unexpectedly became the only son of Hua Zhanhong and received the ancient inheritance of Yu. Given such a background and opportunity at the beginning, let's see how Huayu can cultivate the water system to its strongest. Divine seal praise, heavenly seed, he has used all the treasures in this world that can enhance power on the water system. Why is Mingzhu, the noble young master? His water skills are different from ours, someone asked. The ocean god clan invaded China, and Huayu stepped forward. With a finger in the void, he laughed and said, just because you want to compete with me in water control. P.S. Do not seize the opportunity of Mo fan, do not dismantle the original CP keywords of the novel. Full-time Mages Water System Supreme No Pop-Ups, Full-time Mages Water System Supreme TXT Complete Collection Download, Full-time Mages Water System Supreme Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Old Scammers and Elementary School Bullies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Old Scammers and Elementary School Bullies, tonight, who is whose father? You're my dad tonight. Ha ha ha, Xiaoyu, it's you again, drink quickly. A group of people clamored and urged a young man to drink. Stop bothering you guys, I never drink. Give me a drink. The young man picked up his glass and swallowed all the wine inside. It's strange to say that the young man himself is a genius and a top student, but for some reason, when it comes to the game stage, his mind becomes dull and he can't win at all. Commonly known as the game black hole. Today is the day when the annual college entrance examination ends. The boy and a few classmates decided to come out and gather together, bidding farewell to their most important youth with a drunken scene. As a result, I don't know who suddenly started drinking through playing games, which resulted in everyone at the table, except for the teenagers, not getting drunk. All the empty bottles lay quietly at the feet of the boy. What, you guys should drink first. I'll go out and make it convenient for you. When I come back, I'll drink you all. The young man interrupted and walked out. The moon is bright and the stars are sparse, and the air is filled with a hot and humid atmosphere, as if it is foggy. The faint light of the distant lighthouse made the night even more silent. Bright moon, gentle breeze, sea. These are all unique flavors of the night. Oh yes. There is also vomit continuously spewing out by someone next to the guardrail. A good taste is in my heart. The boy, who had vomited a bit more soberly, supported the railing with both hands, lifted his head, and looked into the distance, which was an endless sea. The young man bathed in moonlight, with perfectly sculpted facial features and extremely delicate appearance. He had shiny black eyes, a straight nose and thin lips, and a slender figure dressed in casual attire. There is a smile on the corner of the mouth and a trace of residue just after vomiting. The young man's name is Huayu and he was born in this coastal city. My favorite thing to do in daily life is daydreaming, indulging in various novels, fantasizing about one day being able to obtain superpowers or magic to save the world. Grandpa, that grandson called again. Grandpa, that grandson called again. Suddenly, a noisy phone call startled Huayu and woke him up in an instant. He quickly took out his phone from his pocket and glanced at the screen. Why did Mr. Xia call me so late? Huayu was a bit puzzled, but still pressed the answer button. Hello, Mr. Xia. On the first day I left school, did you still want to part with me? Huayu asked casually. Haha, Hua Xiaozi, the old man is a bit reluctant to part with you, especially since you left, no one will bring me cigarettes to smoke. The old man on the other end of the phone let out a hearty laugh. What you're talking about are all minor issues. I'm sure I'll go back to see your elderly family often. Mr. Xia is the librarian at Huayu and his school. Due to his busy high school studies, few teachers and students go to the library, and his position is also very leisurely. The elderly have no relatives or relatives in this world, and after so many years, they have become somewhat lonely. Until Huayu entered high school, everything changed. Huayu has always had excellent grades. Even if he doesn't study, he can still maintain the first place in the grade, and all the teachers pay little attention to him, allowing him to self-study. So during school, most of Huayu would spend the whole day reading fantasy novels in the library. The two of them became familiar with each other in a matter of time. After learning about the old man, Huayu occasionally used scholarships to buy some cigarettes for Xia old man to smoke. Spring has passed and autumn has arrived. The young man spent 3 years in high school, so he accompanied the old man for 3 years. It can be said that teenagers are the only friends of the elderly in this world. When Huayu finished laughing and often went back to see the elderly, the old man on the other end of the phone suddenly fell silent and didn't speak for a long time. "Hey, Mr. Xia, what's wrong? You don't want me to go see you?" Huayu felt a hint of unease and quickly asked. "Of course I'm happy that you can come back often, old man," Xia said as he paused. "Just what? But the old man can't wait for that day anymore, said Xia with a mournful smile. "What? Old Xia, what are you talking nonsense about?" The last hint of alcohol dissipated with the old man's words. "Hua Xiaozi, don't get excited yet. Let me finish speaking." The old man felt a little moved by Huayu's caring voice. "Can you tell me what exactly happened first?" "It's nothing, it's just a matter of birth, aging, illness, and death. We should face it. Hua, listen to me. I may not be able to make it through tonight, the old man. I don't have many relatives in this world. If you're willing to help me collect a corpse, come over and maybe we can see the old man for the last time. Mr. Xia, I'll be right here. You must hold on for me." Huayu shouted to the other end of the phone as he ran towards the restaurant. At this point, it's difficult to wait for a taxi. Go back and ask your classmates to borrow an electric scooter. Okay, I'll wait for you. The old man finished speaking and hung up the phone. Standing on a cliff by the seaside was a lively old man with a straight back and white beard and hair. His face was covered in weathered wrinkles, but his eyes were bright and lively. "Brother, it's been 4,000 years. I've finished everything you told me, and the rest is up to this stinky kid," the old man muttered to himself. Suddenly, something came to his mind and he shook his head with a smile. "I didn't expect to end up being a scammer again, The old man laughed heartily and then jumped down. Under the cliff, the surging waves hit the coast and splashed waves, with a rumbling sound that seemed to be mixed with a hint of murmur. "I really can't bear to part with this stinky kid." Bang! The door was violently kicked open, and as for whether it was broken or not, why, you can't care about it anymore. He only cares about what's wrong with that old man who usually smiles. The safety of his only relative. "Old Xia, are you okay?" Huayu asked eagerly as he entered the door. The room was pitch black and no one answered. Huayu, who was already nervous, became even more panicked and reached for the light switch in the room with trembling hands. Pop! The lights came on, and there was only a single bed and a desk in the empty room, without the figure of the old man. On the desk, there are 2 wooden boxes, one large and one small, with a letter pressed under them. The cover reads "Zhihua, you stinky boy." Oh, it was written to me. Huayu took out the letter and read it carefully. The letter reads, "Stinky kid, by the time you read this letter, I'm no longer here, but don't be sad. I was someone who should have died long ago, and I've lived for so long. I'm lucky to meet you at the end of my life. I have been holding the cigarette you gave me all along, and I feel a bit embarrassed. The things in those 2 boxes on the table have been given to you, so I must cherish them well. By the way, believe it or not, there is a magical plane parallel to this science-oriented plane where one learns not science but magic." End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Strange World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Strange World. What? Upon seeing the last sentence written in the letter, Huayu felt a bit familiar, but she couldn't think of where she had seen it for a moment, so she didn't care. As for the things in the 2 boxes on the table, Huayu didn't rush to look. She just put the small box in her pocket and sat on the wooden bed, holding the big box in her arms. Remembering that he had stayed in the library for 3 years, and occasionally forgot to eat in the morning, old Xia would fill himself with an egg cake. Now that kind old man is no longer there. Sadness, drunkenness, and drowsiness hit, and Huayu fell asleep in a daze. The lights in the city seem to slowly disappear as the boy falls asleep. Darkness envelopes all things. From a distance, this city seems to be empty, like a mirage in the darkness. What Huayu didn't know was that from nowhere, a faint light appeared in the darkness. Looking at the light source, the light emerged from the gap in a small wooden box. Bright and hot. Buzz, this is the sound of the small wooden box trembling. Ing, this is a sound coming from the other side, as if responding to the call of the small wooden box. A sleeping boy was still dreaming, unaware that everything had undergone a huge change, causing him to fall into another plane. No, maybe not 1, it's 2. Dong dong dong. Xuanwu, wake up quickly. Are you going to school to report today? A woman's voice came from outside, accompanied by a knock on the door. Get up right away. Huayu responded in a daze and then quickly got up. Rubbed her eyes, then comfortably stretched out, and the contents of her arms fell directly onto the bed. Ha! Why did I fall asleep holding it? Huayu was puzzled. Xuanwu, hurry up. Your sister is busy and doesn't have time to accompany you here for a while, the woman outside said anxiously. Oh, come right away. Huayu just finished speaking and felt something was wrong. Give me a hammer. At this moment, Huayu had 10,000 question marks in his mind. Where did I come from, sister? No, where did I get my family? Shouldn't I be an orphan? Also, I should have fallen asleep in Mr. Xia's room last night. Where is this? I must still be dreaming. Get up, change your posture, and go back to sleep. Thinking of this, Huayu lay in bed again, wrapped up in a blanket. Good night, Makabaka. Good night, Xiong de Xiong Air. Good night, rabbit girl. Bang. The loud noise made Huayu jump out of bed directly. Mom, I can fly now. Xuanwu, today is the most important day in your life. Do you really understand? A tall but curvaceous woman stood in front of Huayu and exclaimed angrily. Ah, wait, tell me who you are first. Huayu pinched herself quietly. Hiss, it hurts a bit, it doesn't seem like I'm dreaming. Huayu was originally a bit angry, but now when asked by Huayu, she is worried about her cousin. Xuanwu, I'm your cousin Huayu. Are you okay? Huayu asked with some concern, and then seemed to have thought of something, muttering softly, I don't think that box really fooled me. What box? Huayu's hearing was not bad, so she naturally heard what Huayu was whispering and asked. Ah, it's nothing, nothing. Huayu looked a bit flustered when faced with this question and quickly found a topic to change. By the way, Xuanwu, do you remember who I am? Although Huayu didn't understand anything at the moment, facing the current situation, he pondered for a moment and made a decision. He followed the woman in front of him and slowly understood his current situation when he had the opportunity. I remember. You are my sister Huayu, and I am your younger brother Huayu. Today is my first day of school, right? Yes, as long as you have no problem, get up and tidy up quickly. I'll finish sending you back to the military district. Huayu patted her chest hard and breathed a sigh of relief. Hush, stop shaking, your eyes hurt from shaking. Sister, why don't you go out first? After I wash up and change into clothes, I'll go out soon. Okay, I'll wait for you outside, Huayu said and walked out. As for the door, it must not be able to close. It was kicked by Huayu as early as she entered. Huayu found a new toothbrush from the room and started brushing, but his mind was thinking. Huayu bamboo. A very familiar name, why can't I remember it? Is she a female soldier because of the military district she just mentioned? Forget it, having a sister is also good. After hastily washing up, he casually took out a suit of clothes from the wardrobe and ran out. I don't know if it's an illusion, but Huayu felt like her body had shrunk slightly after waking up. Upon hearing the commotion coming from behind, Huayu turned around and looked up and down at Huayu. The young man was 15 or 16 years old, with an exceptionally handsome and angular face, especially the peach blossom eyes under his sword eyebrows, which made people unable to resist falling in at a glance. Huayu walked forward casually, patted Huayu's shoulder, and said with a smile, "You are truly my younger brother of Huayu. He is really handsome, and I don't know how many girls he will crush in school." "It's okay, it's second in the world," Huayu said without blushing. "I won't talk to you anymore. This time I happen to have the opportunity, let me let you feel it in advance." Huayu finished speaking and grabbed Huayu's back collar with one hand. What do you feel?" Huayu asked. "Wind track, speed." A blue light flashed past, and Huayu could vaguely see a magnificent starlight trajectory appearing on Huayu's body, which flashed away in a flash. "And then it's about, WOC, stop first. It's too fast, I can't take it anymore." A wave of ghost crying and wolf howling came from the air. Jiaza Magic High School. A handsome Ferrari 488 parked at the school gate with a beautiful tail flick, attracting envious gazes from a group of students. A man was the first to emerge from the passenger seat, and his handsome appearance sparked a wave of discussion around him. "Wow! How handsome! Which rich and young family has come to our school again?" "Shoo, keep it down. Take a closer look at the woman sitting in the driver's seat. I see, he's probably some kind of pampered little white face. I think you're right. Supplementary proposal." Huayu glared fiercely at the chubby little guy who said he was a little white-faced. It was this guy who was blindly following the rhythm. The little chubby guy was still chatting and suddenly shuddered. "Not good, it has a murderous aura." Turning his head, he looked at the little white face. No, the handsome man was shaking his flowing blue hair and looking at him with sharp eyes. Go. The chubby guy quickly urged his friends around him to go. Watching the crowd around her leave, Huayu breathed a sigh of relief in her heart, helped the car with one hand, and then, End of this chapter. Chapter 3. This product is actually the first one. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. This product is actually the first one. Rinse your mouth. Huayu got off the car and gently patted Huayu's back, handing over a bottle of Ibao mineral water. "Thank you." Huayu turned around and could still see the smile on Huayu's lips. He couldn't help but say, "Sister, I can't take your car anymore." Who knows, Huayu went through something along the way. First, Huayu grabbed Huayu with the wind track and ran to the parking lot. After finally taking a breath of relief, he got into the car and prepared to rest for a while. Unexpectedly, the nightmare had just begun. As soon as she got into the car, Huayu showed a crazy smile. Then, she quickly adjusted the gear with her right hand and pressed the accelerator all the way down. The Ferrari 488 rushed out like an arrow, leaving a trail of sparks. Huayu flexibly controlled the steering wheel with her left hand, brushing past normal vehicles on the road. Huayu, the co-pilot, straightened her whole body and couldn't help but close her eyes. "I've been in the military district for too long and haven't had many opportunities to touch a car, so I'm a bit excited this time. I'll definitely pay attention next time." Jiaza Magic High School. Huayu looked at the school in front of him with a majestic expression. "Sister, is today my high school enrollment day?" "Of course, and you have great potential. You came to the best high school in Huacheng with the top 10 grades in the province. I estimate that even in this school with so many academic elites, you are either first or second. Okay, sister, I'll go first. Drive slowly on the way and pay attention to the safety of passers-by, Huayu earnestly advised. Don't worry, why are you being as verbose as your uncle? Okay, I won't say it anymore, let's go. NN, hurry up and leave. Huayu waved at Hua Yu and walked towards the school with a one-shoulder backpack. Looking at the young man's disappearing figure, Hua Yu, who was originally smiling, suddenly became serious and murmured to herself, "You never call me sister." Entering the campus, Huayu looked around and was curious about everything around her. After some twists and turns just now, he roughly figured out what had happened. First of all, he must have traveled through the world of full-time mage, which he loved to read in his previous life. As is well known, this novel is written haphazardly. There is no fighting spirit that has flourished to the peak here, nor are there strange martial souls. Instead, there are those colorful magic. Upon hearing this news, Huayu almost jumped up with excitement. He had read this novel 3 times and knew the plot clearly. Huayu is currently unclear about what stage the plot has reached. It can be inferred from checking the information later that this is not difficult for Huayu. Furthermore, since Huayu already knows which world this is, he has a rough guess about his identity. Hua Yu, the future chief guard of Zhang Xiaohou, has another identity as his niece. Since she is her own cousin, most of her current identity is that of her son. That's really a wild start. Huayu smiled and shook his head, starting to search for his class on campus. Class 1 of Grade 1. Wow, I finally found it. This campus is really big. Huayu, who came from a small coastal city in his past life, had never seen such a good high school. By the way, have I just finished the college entrance examination? Thinking of this, Huayu turned into a bitter-gourd face. Alas, experiencing the hardships of high school again in 3 years is exhausting. Xiao Bai. Ah, no, it's you, handsome guy. Just as Huayu was complaining, a little chubby man suddenly walked over from behind him. Oh, it's you, why are you the only one? What about the group of friends around me just now? Sure enough, even though I've traveled through time, I still maintain my original handsome demeanor, and people call me handsome wherever I go. It is worth mentioning that apart from her body size shrinking to 3 years ago, the only change for Huayu is her hair color, which has changed from black to the current sea blue color. They are all from other classes. When they checked in, they happened to meet and chatted a few times before getting to know each other. With a smile on their chubby white face, they looked somewhat familiar. By the way, my name is Lu Feng and I come from Shandong. If you have time, you can go to Shandong and directly report my name. Is it useful to give you your name? It's useless, mainly because introducing oneself is more handsome, Lu Feng said proudly. Hua Yu remained speechless. He hadn't noticed his irritability before. How could he look at this chubby little guy in front of him more and more and want to beat him up? Huayu, from Huacheng, I'll cover you up in Huacheng. Brother Hua, you are indeed from the same path. As soon as I saw you, you have the talent of the Dharma God. Come, please come here. Lu Feng didn't take Hua Yu's words to heart and walked towards the classroom with him. Wow! How handsome! Yeah, look at his hair. It's blue, it's so smooth. Take a good look. Originally, Hua Yu was walking in front of the classroom, but when he heard a burst of praise in the classroom, Lu Feng couldn't help but step forward and stand in front of Hua Yu with his head held high, giving a face to everyone. Hey, that chubby guy, please don't block us from looking at handsome guys. Hua Yu ignored the voices in the class and walked alone towards the window in the back row of the class. It was Wang's hometown, which has been a battleground for all the predecessors of the travelers since ancient times. Lu Feng walked towards the girl who had just been told not to stand in his way, and then went to Shandong to cover you up. His comments such as, "I look handsome even after losing weight," made the girl burst into laughter. Then he spent less than 10 minutes getting along with everyone in his class. After some operation, Huayu was somewhat surprised and couldn't help but sigh, this chubby guy is also a talent. Quickly, as a middle-aged man with a goatee and some dignity walked in, the whole classroom quieted down. Lu Feng quickly searched for Huayu's figure in the classroom and then ran to sit next to him. "Hello classmates, my name is Xue Min and I will be your future homeroom teacher." The middle-aged man briefly introduced himself and then raised his hand to look at his watch. "There are still 10 minutes left for the school opening ceremony. Let me take the roll first." First, Lu Feng. 2. The second one, Huayu. Arrived. Huayu didn't expect that the first person to arrive would be the chubby little man next to him, and he didn't know how Xue Min arranged the list in his hand. The third one is Li Yangyan. 2. 10th place, Azaleas. 2. After a girl with a double ponytail in the front row finished answering, Xue Min put down his list and said, "Great, everyone is here." As soon as the words fell, a wave of confusion arose as a tall and sturdy man stood up and said, "Teacher, there are still many names of us that you haven't called." Xue Min picked up the list with some confusion, counted it carefully, and said, "No problem, I've already counted the top 10. But, teacher, it's obvious that there are more than 10 people in our class. There are 4 to 5 or 10 people sitting here, anyway." The muscular man almost pointed at Xue Min and said, "You're blind." "Hee, I'm sorry, teacher. I have a bad memory and can only remember the names of 10 classmates. Except for the top 10, I don't need to remember the names of the other classmates, let alone care if they are there. If you want to have a presence in my class, just climb up." Xue Min said coldly, glanced at his watch again, "Now everyone go out and gather. Although this world does not mean that the better your grades, the stronger your magical abilities will be. But it is said that after students with better grades awaken to a certain department, their cultivation speed will be faster than that of normal people, because they have a comprehensive understanding of the entire knowledge of magic and can easily practice it." The muscular man's veins burst out in his hands, clenching his fists with force. He wanted to say something but didn't know what to say, so he could only punch the table with one punch and then lead the way out. Huayu in the corner didn't care about all of this. At least he was a reckless interloper, no matter how weak the meat was, it wasn't his turn. On the contrary, he was full of curiosity about the chubby little guy around him. This silly guy is actually the first place. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Magic Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Magic Awakening. Brother Hua, why did you look at me with such strange eyes from the beginning? It's nothing, I'm just curious about you, Huayu answered directly. Brother Hua, I have read a love book that says that curiosity about a person is the beginning of falling in love with them. Shouldn't you? The chubby guy already knew he was fair and tender, and those who were a bit eccentric liked his own style. Huayu calmly replied, "Don't worry, I'm so handsome. But the book also says that generally homosexuals are handsome. Not all handsome guys in this world are homosexuals, chubby. Let me hear from you, I know I'm very handsome, but you must not have a mentality of hatred towards handsome people, otherwise you will become very narrow-minded." Huayu said seriously. "Brother Hua, what do you think the cuckoo in our class looks like? He looks really amazing, especially with his long, white, and thin legs, and most importantly, he also increases his attack speed." Huayu gave an objective evaluation. Lu Feng showed a lewd smile, nodded empathetically, and then asked, "Are you interested in her?" "Not interested." Huayu thought the chubby little man was interested in his twin ponytailed sister, so he first inquired about his reputation. "Joke, my goal is the whole world, how could it be restricted at the beginning?" How dare you say you're not a homosexual? Lu Feng shuddered and covered his chest tightly with both hands, quietly taking a step back and distancing himself from Huayu. Fatty, are you serious about taking half a step back? Huayu was covered in black lines and stared fiercely at Lu Feng. Oh, no, I can't bear it anymore. Huayu flew up and kicked Lu Feng's buttocks. Sleeping trough, brother Hua, you're getting angry from embarrassment. I know you're in a hurry, but don't worry for now. Lu Feng, who was kicked to the ground, didn't forget to say a few words. If it weren't for the two coughs on stage, Huayu would really want to give him 2 more feet. Classmates, welcome to school. I am your principal, Wei Huaqing. Today will be the most important day in your life. I believe many of you didn't sleep well last night and have been waiting for which department you will awaken today. As the principal, I wish all of you can awaken to the magic department you want. Okay. The principal's opening immediately drew cheers, and the students below gave the principal face and applauded vigorously. After all, who doesn't want to awaken to a good magic department? If you awaken a fire faction at the beginning, then just walk horizontally on campus. If your luck goes against the sky and you get a thunder faction, the principal can be your godfather. All the students are silently praying, no water system, no light system, please. Except for a young man who is still obsessed with his own beauty, he is not at all panicked. Even if he is not a thunder type, he is also a fire type. As for the water type light type, it does not exist at all. This wave is stable. Before your magical awakening, I have something else to say to everyone. Classmates, no matter why you become wizards, you must remember one thing. Behind us wizards are the multitude of beings, the lights of countless families. Outside our comfortable city, there are countless demons lurking in our eyes. If one day demons attack our home, I hope you remember. Magician, fight to the death, never retreat. Fight to death, don't retreat. Fight to death, don't retreat. The young girls and boys were all at the age of 15 or 16, with their souls burning brightly. They had not yet faced the demon's head on, and the atmosphere was directly stirred up by the principal's lofty speech, which could not be stopped for a long time. Alright, everyone, today our magical awakening officially begins. As soon as Wei Hua finished speaking, the students below cheered. The awakening ceremony is held independently in each class, and during the opening ceremony, the school has already placed the awakening stone on the podium of each class. Grade 1, Class 1, in the top class classroom of this top university, Xue Min stood on the podium and had already picked up the list of people to wake up. The first awakened person is naturally the first Lu Feng of this generation. The classmates in the class were all awakened for the first time, and everyone was extremely nervous. As the first awakener in the class, Lu Feng's pressure could be imagined, and fine beads of sweat had already sprouted from his forehead. Relax and let your heart sink to feel it. Xue Min's attitude towards Lu Feng was quite friendly, and he kept encouraging him on the side. The awakening stone presents a thick compass shape with a clear palm print on it. Lu Feng takes a deep breath and then places his hand on the awakening stone. Suddenly, starlight appeared on the awakening stone, and these radiances connected into star marks that crawled onto Lu Feng's right hand like special blood vessels. Shortly afterwards, Lu Feng opened his eyes. Brown, it seems that your first type awakens to the earth type, which is not bad. Someone once conducted a market research and asked those students who have not yet awakened which elemental magic department they most want to awaken in the first department in the future. The answers given by the students are generally consistent with the Lei series. Another question. What if you were to rank these 7 elemental magic spells? Thunder system, fire system, ice system, wind system, earth system, water system, light system. This is currently the most unified version. The thunder system is the strongest, with fast output and explosion, and the light system is the weakest. In the initial stage, it can only be used as a flashlight. As the top student in the school, Lu Feng only awakened a slightly better magic department than the water and light department, which relieved the students who stood on tiptoe to observe. I don't expect others to be bad, but I can't see others being good. This is the mentality of most students around me. Next, Huayu. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Natural Dual Lineage. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5. Natural Dual Lineage. Huayu took a step forward, walked through the crowd, and arrived at the podium. He patted Lu Feng as he passed by and said, "Fatty guy, it's okay. The earth style can resist attacks and have displacement, which is the most comprehensive type. You've made a lot of money this time." Upon hearing Huayu's words, Lu Feng couldn't help but lift his head, with a hint of confusion in his eyes. "Brother Hua, are you comforting me?" "That's not true, mainly because I'm afraid you won't be able to take it seriously." "Well, you're overthinking it. Our first magic department is all earthy, so I knew I was earthy before I woke up. How could I possibly not think about it? Besides, earthy is so handsome, it fits my temperament, steady and introverted." Lu Feng grinned with a big white tooth. "You already know the result, why were you so nervous on stage just now?" Xuanwu asked in confusion. Lu Feng scratched his head with some embarrassment and said, "Isn't that because so many female classmates are looking at me below?" She's embarrassed. After speaking, he still covered his face with both hands and shook his body slightly. He disgusted Huayu on the side and kicked him down with one foot, roll and roll. "Ah, Brother Hua, you don't even know that you feel sorry for me. Draw a circle to curse you, and you'll wake up worse than me." Lu Feng said as he squatted down, drawing circles on the floor with his fingers, and couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Cut, look carefully. The young master has awakened you to be amazing, don't be fooled." Huayu flicked his hair upwards, his head slightly tilted back, appearing very confident. "Have you finished pretending? Let's start as soon as we finish. There are still classmates waiting behind." Xuanwu couldn't bear to watch these two treasures anymore and quickly urged him. "Here we go. Playing back and forth, causing trouble back and forth, awakening magic is the big deal." Despite this, Huayu felt no burden in his heart. It didn't matter which faction he awakened to, anyway, he had to persevere in the early stages, and whether the first level had output ability was the same, not much different. As for the probability of awakening failure, Huayu said there is no need to worry at all. The main reason for the failure of magical awakening is that the spiritual power is not enough to stimulate the appearance of a certain element in the body. According to Huayu's estimation, I am one with two souls, and my spiritual power cannot be said to be very strong. At least it is much stronger than these people in the class. There are very few people among them who have failed, let alone myself. Thinking through these, Huayu placed her hand directly on the awakening stone and closed her eyes. The spiritual world was pitch black, with nothing. The only thing he could feel was a warm magical energy passing through his hands, flowing straight into his mind along his arms. Immediately after, the previously pitch-black spiritual world began to drizzle lightly. Slowly, in the spiritual world of Huayu, a glimmer of light began to appear, which was a small, tiny speck of stardust. Compared to the entire pitch-black universe, the stardust was incredibly dim, small as dust, shining with a blue radiance. The blue starry dust represents the awakening of Huayu in the water system. Even if the awakening was successful, Huayu did not immediately open his eyes, he was still waiting. In the next moment, another magical energy was transmitted from the awakening stone, and this second force also invaded Huayu's spiritual world. A small patch of star dust appeared next to the originally blue star dust, and the two pieces of star dust complemented each other, which was really beautiful. Huayu glanced at the color of another stardust and silently withdrew from his spiritual world. Because the color of Huayu's second star dust was a bit faint, even a group of young children who were still wet and smelly couldn't see it. They just thought it was their own dizziness. As a result, Huayu only awakened a garbage water system on the surface, which instantly sparked discussions in the class. Alas, it's a pity that someone who looks so handsome actually awakens to the water system. Yeah, I instantly lost interest in him. Speaking of which, our school ranks first and second, with one awakening the soil system and the other awakening the water system. So, what's the use of good grades? There's a suspension. It's just that. Look at Shui Lao Gui's expression, it's making him look down on us for our poor grades. Haha, that's really embarrassing. Lu Feng quickly stood up below, with his hand behind his back, and then came to Huayu's side. He smiled awkwardly and said, "Brother Hua, you can't blame me for this. I'm just joking. It's okay, it's all fate." Huayu first shook his head, then covered his face with his left hand. He chuckled a few times, and slowly the laughter grew louder and more unrestrained. Finally, he laughed a bit crazily, his head tilted back, almost forming a 90-degree angle with his body. This action made the students below take a moment to look at, and Lu Feng had already forgotten to comfort him. "I'm sorry, everyone, I made you laugh," Huayu said when he was tired of laughing. "It's okay, I understand." Everyone quickly waved their hands, saying it's okay. Xue Min on the podium, as a teacher at a top university and also a homeroom teacher for a top class, naturally has a very high vision. What was that just now? If he's not mistaken, Huayu actually awakened again after the water system. Is this the legendary innate talent, innate dual lineage? Xue Min gave Huayu a meaningful glance. Feeling someone's gaze, Huayu vigorously patted his shoulder and said, "There's no way, I'm a genius." He then walked towards the audience. Xue Min took a deep breath and glanced at the list. Next, Li Yangyan. As his name suggests, Li Yangyan awakens to the fire type, a proud and charming magic type that only appears with a 1 in 10 chance. With the first few students in the class taking the lead, the other students began to awaken in an orderly manner. Double ponytailed Sister Duan awakens to the ice type. It is worth mentioning that the most eye-catching person in the class was actually the burly man named Zhao Zan, who was initially criticized by Xue Min. He awakened to the unique lei style, which attracted waves of cheers. Some even stepped forward and picked up Zhao Zan's thigh. After everyone was fully awakened, Xue Min gave an important lesson to the students in the class. The release of magic. The release of magic consists of only 3 simple steps. Firstly, meditation. Secondly, control. Thirdly, release. Meditation is to calm down and concentrate on thinking. After the awakening of magic, as long as you don't daydream about anything and let your mind reach a state of emptiness like a black universe, magical stardust will appear out of thin air. As long as one can see 7 lively and shining stars appearing in the starry dust, it is considered to have completed the meditation. Control is to control the 7 mischievous stars, using one's own spiritual thoughts to control them and arrange them into a specific orbit. After completing the first 2 steps, the magical power will be transmitted from that specific orbit to the magician's body, transforming into real magic and then released. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. My father's name is Hua Zhanhong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. My father's name is Hua Zhanhong. Huayu, please stay for a while. The others will go back to meditation after school, as I said. The magic course in high school is boring, and most of the time is completed by students alone. After explaining the process of releasing magic, Xue Min asked them all to go back. Goodbye, teacher. The students are all eager to go home and complete their first meditation in life. After seeing that all the students in the class except Hua Yu had left, Xue Min packed the textbooks on the podium and walked out with the awakening stone. Follow me. Hua Yu smiled as he looked at Xue Min's back, and his homeroom teacher was quite interesting. Office, don't be nervous, sit down. Teacher Xue, if you have anything to say, just let me know. I was kept on the first day of school, and my family would think I caused trouble, Huayu joked. You should have guessed why I came to see you. Xue Min looked seriously into Huayu's eyes. I guessed it. Because I am too handsome, Teacher Xue has taught for so many years and has never seen a student as handsome as me. So I want to stay and chat more, and also take a few more glances. You kid, Xue Min smiled. Alright, let me just say that your talent is very powerful. Don't expose it casually until it's necessary. After all, the most unpredictable thing in this world is human heart. Huayu put away the smile on his face and nodded earnestly. Thank you very much for your teachings, Teacher Xue. This incident also belongs to Huayu's mistake. Even though he was born with a dual lineage, he did not prepare in advance. Fortunately, my second series is quite abnormal. It's not an elemental series, but a dimensional magic summoning series, with moon-white stardust. On the one hand, the students in the class never expected that someone would be born with a dual lineage, and on the other hand, they never expected that someone would awaken for the first time and not be from the element lineage, so they didn't pay much attention to the sudden appearance of moon-white. Alright, just keep this matter in mind and I will keep it a secret for you. Also, feel free to come to me if you have any questions during your cultivation. Young Master. No, thank you, Teacher Xue. Xue Min looked down at a letter in his hand and waved his hand without lifting his head. It's nothing, just go back and remember to practice well, he said. Okay. A red flag business vehicle is driving on the road. Sun Bo, thanks to you, I was saved, otherwise I wouldn't know how to go back tonight. A few minutes ago, Huayu was still thinking about a question. How to get home. Although he could remember the route he had seen once, the car driven by Hua Yu in the morning was in a completely closed-eye state and he didn't even remember the way. In this unfamiliar world, Huayu at the school gate is like a rootless duckweed, weak and helpless. At this moment, an old man dressed in simple clothes walked over with a slightly hunched body. The old man claimed to be the butler grandson of the Hua family and came specifically to pick up Huayu to go home. Huayu's first impression of Sun Bo was that his face was full of vicissitudes and his eyes were kind. Hee, young master, just call me old Sun. Okay, Sun Bo, where are we going now? Huayu silently calculated in the back seat, taking into account the speed of Hua Yu and the time it takes to arrive at school, as well as the current speed of the red flag. Huayu could easily calculate how long it would take to arrive. 18 minutes, with an error of no more than 1 minute before and after. But now Sun Bo has been driving with him for over 20 minutes, and it is obvious that this is not the way home. Huayu was already secretly vigilant in his heart, but his face remained calm. Sun Batong glanced at Huayu in the rearview mirror and nodded secretly. Young master, it's the old master who's back and wants to see you. Huajia, outside the study. Master, the young master has arrived. Sun Bo knocked on the door of the study and said outside. Huayu stood behind, looking left and right, seemingly relaxed, but feeling flustered inside. Old Sun, let him in. The voice in the study was not very loud, but it was very calm and clear. Young master, you go in. Sun Bo took 2 steps to the side, bowed slightly, and made way for Huayu. Oh, good. Huayu adjusted her mindset and no longer hesitated to push the door in. As soon as I opened the door, the first thing I saw was a neatly packed room full of books, such as 1001 Demons, How Magic Was Practiced, Aladdin's Magic Tools, and so on. Looking further ahead, at the end of the desk sat a middle-aged man in military uniform, burying his head at the desk. Upon hearing the sound of footsteps, Hua Zhanhong slowly turned around and his deep eyes, which seemed to contain the vastness of the universe, looked towards Huayu. Xiaoyu, haven't seen you for a while, you seem to have grown taller again. Hua Zhanhong smiled and walked towards Huayu. Yeah, it's been a long time since you came back. Is there a lot to do with the military district? Upon seeing the middle-aged man, Huayu knew at first glance that his guess was correct. His father was the existence of the future single-kill emperor. Hua Zhanhong. A series of names such as the guardian god of the kingdom of China, the southern army leader, and the forbidden mage are not enough to express the role of this person in front of the entire kingdom of China. Yeah, I have to worry about things in over 50 districts in the southern region. The Demon Empire has also been a bit unstable lately and requires me to guard it, especially in several coastal districts where there have been reports of different actions by the demon tribes near the sea. I still need to discuss with the eastern head. Hua Zhanhong rubbed his temples with some headache. How come you're free today? Huayu walked up behind Hua Zhanhong and gently pinched his shoulder. It's not because he's his own cheap father, it's just that Huayu has a deep respect for this person from the bottom of his heart. Today is the day when my precious son's magic awakens. As a father, I have to come back and see the situation. How is it? Xuanwu, what kind of awakening did I have today? Water system. Water system. It's pretty good. Your father's first system is also water system. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me. If I'm not here, you can ask old Sunday. Hua Zhanhong knew that young people nowadays look down on water system, so he was also worried that his son might not be satisfied with his first system. After Hua Zhanhong finished speaking, after a while, his own son didn't reply and couldn't help but frown. This bastard probably doesn't really think the water system is useless and gives up on himself. Just as I was about to talk about him, I saw Huayu's hands, which were supposed to help him rub his shoulders, lying in mid-air, completely lost in thought. What are you thinking? Ah. Huayu was startled and just walked away. He was considering a question. Should he tell Hua Zhanhong about his current situation? In my past life, I grew up with my grandfather from a young age and never felt fatherly love. And Hua Zhanhong is his current father, although he has not been in contact for a long time, Huayu can feel his strong love for him. After a brief thought, Huayu made a decision. Dad, I have a question that I would like to ask. Oh, you bastard, calling me so affectionate today must be a good thing, isn't it? Hee, isn't this the awakening of magic? In the future, the resources needed for magic will still need your constant support. If you don't have a sweet mouth, you won't be able to survive. Huayu rubbed his hands up and down, smiling a little contemptuously. Okay, come on, what's the problem? Hua Zhanhong affectionately pointed to Huayu. Dad, it's like this. When I woke up today, I was fine and woke up with a water system. I also know that our family is in the southern part of China, and we mainly deal with ocean demons. So I am very happy that the first system can wake up with a water system. If it becomes stronger in the future, I can help you. When the time comes, I will hold a demon emperor in my left hand, beat a demon emperor in my right hand, and... Huayu became more and more excited as he spoke. Hua Zhanhong's head was covered in black lines and he couldn't bear to watch anymore. He quickly said, stop and stop, pick the key point. He felt that if he didn't stop it any longer, he wouldn't know how long his precious son would be boasting. Just the next moment, Huayu's words left him stunned in the same place. Oh, it's nothing, it just feels like I've awakened 2 departments. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Father-Son Talks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Father-Son Talks, what are you saying? Hua Zhanhong asked in great surprise. It's nothing, I suddenly awakened 2 departments. I think, my qualifications are ordinary, and many people have this situation, so I was just thinking, should I mention this to you? Huayu said humbly, but the expression on his face betrayed him. This kid, if he still needs to pretend in front of his father, then I'm not as good as him, Hua Zhanhong thought to himself. Then he walked to the chair in front of the table and sat down. He put away his surprise and calmly picked up a cup of tea to drink. Oh, indeed, it's quite ordinary. The main reason is that it still costs money. Others only need to spend 1 share, but your father and I have to give you 2 shares. Sigh, fate is hard. Hua Zhanhong said with a bitter smile, by the way, what is your other awakened faction? Well, I don't know either, Huayu pretended not to know. What color? Moon white, I don't know what it is. Puff. Hua Zhanhong took a sip of the tea he had just drank and sprayed it out. What the hell, the moon white starry dust. Yes, the color is so light, it doesn't look good at first glance. Huayu silently wiped the water stains on his face with his hand, and even touched 2 pieces of tea leaves. Moon white starry dust, that's a summoning style. Hua Zhanhong earnestly answered his son's doubts. Summoning, isn't that dad? You're going to spend more than twice as much money again, hee. Huayu's watery eyes stared at Hua Zhanhong, seeking help. Having resources is not necessary, that's not awesome, that's foolish. Huayu has his own plans, so he needs more resources to transition to the early stage. You are the only son like me, Hua Zhanhong. Can we still treat you unfairly? Hua Zhanhong smiled. Whenever there is an outstanding young mage in the country, Hua Zhanhong is willing to find ways to support him as long as he feels that others have passed the standards. Moreover, he is his own precious son, and his talent is so outstanding. Thank you, Dad. My son will rub your shoulders again. Please sit still. Huayu said, just do it, and rubbed it hard. Before entering this study, Huayu was still a bit nervous, even timid, as he had to interact with the top experts here on his first day in this world. The key is that he also occupied the body of someone else's son. Once he is found to have any abnormal behavior, it will attract the attention of this big shot. Fortunately, my genius acting skills not only deceived Huayu, but also surpassed the level of Hua Zhanhong. It's so delicious. Huayu giggled foolishly, his strength increasing. Hiss. Stinky kid, do you want to hurt your father to death? Hua Zhanhong frowned slightly. Oh my, I'm so happy all the time. I didn't pay attention. Is it okay, Dad? I'll let you return it. Huayu quickly moved a stool from the side and sat in front of Hua Zhanhong, then shrugged. Good guy. I haven't seen you for a while, I dare to let me rub your shoulders. Don't be playful and smiling, turn around and ask you something serious. Upon hearing Hua Zhanhong's serious tone, Huayu stopped joking and quickly turned around. What's going on? Your kid's talent is pretty good, so he didn't embarrass your father. How about that? Do you have any plans to go to the military for training after graduation? Dad, don't make things difficult for me. With my temperament, I really can't go to the army, Huayu said with a bitter smile. There are so many beautiful women in this world that I cannot be restricted. I'm just your son. Look at him, old AI. Only one girl in the family doesn't join the army, and everyone else is a soldier. This generation of AI's family has produced a peerless genius. Old AI always praises him in front of us when he's free. How about you? Can't you give your father a long face? Is that the Ihei guy? A small question, when I grow up, I'll beat him up every minute. Besides, Dad, there's more than just joining the military to give you a long face. There are other ways. What method? Bring you the most beautiful daughter. Law in the world, one is not enough, bring a few more, Huayu said with a smile. Get lost. Hua Zhanhong couldn't keep up with his son's brain circuit and said angrily. Alright, Dad, you're busy first. Huayu saw that we were talking about something, so he wanted to leave. Today, on the first day of Magic Awakening, he was still busy practicing meditation. Stinky kid, here you are. Hua Zhanhong threw something at Huayu as he turned around. Huayu instinctively caught it with his hand and looked down at what was in his hand. That is a small azure dust stone that has been polished and threaded through with a black chain, like a necklace. What is this? Huayu asked with some confusion. Let me ask you to read more books in your daily life. Where did you go? That thing is a star magic weapon. You still have a soul-level star magic weapon in your hand, which can increase your daily cultivation time by 60%. Please go back and practice well, and let me find you lazy. Come to the army, did you hear me? Hua Zhanhong said heavily. Oh, no problem, Huayu replied honestly, then turned around and muttered to himself in a low voice, Dad is so stingy, he didn't give me the heavenly level. Hua Zhanhong's body stiffened and his head was covered in black lines. Stinky kid, do you know how difficult it is to find this thing, finally back. As soon as Huayu returned to his morning room, he lay comfortably in bed. Close your eyes and recall everything that happened from last night to tonight. Damn it, who paid last night? Huayu is very particular about people. If there is a chance to go back, he must go back and not forget. Firstly, the joy of the end of the college entrance examination dissipated with the disappearance of Mr. Xia. At that time, Huayu only thought it was an ordinary day in his life when he saw the ups and downs of the world. Now, looking back, he realized that some days and some people are never seen again in this lifetime. Then I inexplicably came to the world of France and became the only child of the Hua family. With all the resources, background, and appearance, I took over, which was more than one level ahead of Mo Fan. But Mo Fan also has his advantages, so let's not mention bringing his own child bride for now. Mo Fan traveled a year ahead of Huayu. Yes, on the way back, Huayu learned about the time of the World University competition through chatting with Sun Bo and had already found out which time period he was currently in the original work. This also means that Mo Fan practiced a whole year earlier than himself. Huayu needs to spend more time and resources to catch up with him. Fortunately, Huayu has the soul-level Stardust magic weapon gifted by Hua Zhanhong. With hard work, he should be able to catch up with Mo Fan's time this year. When it came to the gift, Huayu frowned slightly, feeling as if she had forgotten something. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Blind Box Removal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Blind Box Removal. Huayu patted her forehead and finally remembered what she had forgotten. I quickly sat up and glanced at the box in the corner. That is something that old Xia wrote to him to cherish. He had already traveled through time, but when he woke up from sleep, this thing was still in his arms. And unlike Mo Fan's time travel, Mo Fan's home is still that home, and he is still that one. But he is different. His home is no longer his original home, and he is not sure if he is still his original self. His appearance has not changed, but his hair and age have changed, and his body seems to be much stronger than before. It's all like this, those two boxes can still come with us. If you say they're just ordinary things inside, Huayu wouldn't even believe it. Huayu got out of bed and excitedly took out the small box from her morning pants pocket. Mahjong should be played large first, and blind boxes should be opened small first. Wow! The Golden Legend. To be honest. Is this color not quite right? As soon as the small box was opened, the imagined bright crystal did not appear at all, only a black and slightly green small pendant. Huayu picked up the pendant and carefully examined it. It was just an ordinary pendant, with a pattern engraved on it. The more Huayu looked at it, the more strange his face became. Why did this pattern look more and more like a turtle? Also, isn't this turtle a bit inappropriate? Why is that thing down there so long? Oh. It's a snake. It's okay then. Damn it. It shouldn't be Xuanwu at this moment. No, even if I don't have a white tiger pendant, at least give me the whole vermilion bird pendant. How could this little turtle be so ugly that it deserves my youthful beauty? Upon hearing these words, the Xuanwu pendant in Huayu's hand immediately emitted a murky aura, gently shaking twice as if venting its dissatisfaction. Wrong, little turtle, don't be angry yet. This thing is his own golden finger, and Huayu dare not offend this master. The Xuanwu pendant was like a proud and delicate ghost, refusing to accept Hua Yu's apology, and even shook even more violently. Hua Yu didn't know what to do for a moment and hurriedly coaxed the Xuanwu pendant in his hand. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and patted his forehead. "Oh yes, little turtle, are you hungry? I have delicious food here, can you forgive me after finishing it? If you agree, don't shake it for now." After speaking, Hua Yu stared at the Xuanwu pendant and waited for a while before it finally settled down and stopped shaking. Hua Yu breathed a long sigh of relief and quickly took out the soul-level Stardust demon weapon that his father had given him for cultivation, placing it next to the Xuanwu pendant. "Little turtle, be good, eat quickly," Hua Yu said as he probed his thoughts into the Xuanwu pendant. The penetration of his thoughts made Hua Yu feel like he had fallen into a hot spring. The silky warm current instantly relaxed his previously tired body and gradually entered his spiritual world, making his spiritual world clear and comfortable. No worries, no anxiety, this is a comfort that Huayu has never felt before. Of course, Huayu also noticed the energy change between the two items, as if the Xuanwu pendant was holding a straw and sucking the energy of the soul-level Stardust magic tool. Seeing this, Huayu did not stop, and his heart was already excited. This is indeed one of the 4 divine beast pendants, and all previous speculations have been confirmed. It is because of them that I and Mo Fan came to this world. Is there a possibility that there are 2 other guardians of the 4 divine beasts somewhere in this world, but no one has noticed? Feeling the last trace of energy from the soul-level Stardust magic weapon also entering the little turtle pendant, Huayu withdrew her thoughts and put the little turtle pendant on her neck. Huayu thought to himself, "Look, we are so intelligent. Mo Fan still needs to find a rope to hang around his neck. I just brought my own rope and took another step ahead, hee. Huayu nodded in satisfaction as he looked at the small turtle pendant in his hand. In addition to being able to collect residual spirit, it was also a growth-type Stardust magic tool that could continuously advance by devouring energy, and finally feed itself back. However, it is currently unclear what level the little turtle falls into after devouring a soul-level Stardust magic artifact. Huayu cannot check it because the little turtle fell asleep just after eating and cannot wake up for the time being. Huayu did not care about it and let it slowly digest it on its own. Later, Huayu turned his gaze to the big box and rubbed his hands. This big box is more than 10 times larger than the small box, so it should surprise him even more than the small turtle pendant. Huayu vigorously opened the large box, and to his surprise, none of the imagined cultivation resources appeared, only a strange egg lay inside. This egg is several times larger than the ostrich egg in Huayu's impression, and of course, the egg body is not pure white, but with a black and white background and a few yellow stripes in the middle. "Old Xia, why don't you have anything beautiful on your hands?" Huayu fell asleep while the turtle was falling, and could not help but complain roast. The egg did not hatch, and Huayu didn't know what was inside for a while. With a mindset of believing in Mr. Xia, Huayu didn't have much to guard against this egg. He believed that what Mr. Xia left for him would definitely be helpful to him. Both blind boxes have been dismantled, and her mental fatigue has been restored by the little turtle. Huayu looked at the time and began to meditate. Huayuan sat cross-legged on the bed, upright and upright. This was his first time practicing meditation, and he still needed to explore it carefully. Quickly, Huayu let go of all the images in his mind and focused on doing one thing, which was very simple for Huayu, who was a top student. 2 pieces of stardust naturally appeared in my mind, blue water stardust and moon white summoning stardust. Huayu has not seen them for the first time, but he is still attracted by these 2 stardust. They are so beautiful and charming, exquisite and unparalleled. Focus again, look inside, and you can even see 7 stars running around in the water system. Upon seeing the appearance of these 7 stars, Huayu understood that his first step had been completed, but he was not in a hurry to try to control the second step. A tree with deep roots will not be broken by the wind, and a spring with deep water will not dry up. Huayu was well aware of the importance of foundation, so he silently practiced until he was exhausted. I don't know how long it took, but Huayu felt that his spirit couldn't bear it anymore. Just as he was about to leave his meditation state, an old voice came to his mind. Child, I'm tired now, and you can't do it either. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Former Xuanwu Guardian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Former Xuanwu Guardian, Sleeping Trough, Who is talking in my head? Huayu was startled and quickly asked in his own spiritual world. Don't be nervous, child. I'm not a bad person. Aren't you a good person? Huayu secretly roused, then looked around without finding the figure of the speaker and asked, Where are you? Why can't I see you? Don't look, you can't see me. I've been dead for a long time, and now only the last trace of my soul is left in the Xuanwu pendant. Old man, how long has it been since he died? In the spirit of prioritizing the deceased, Huayu slightly respected the title. A long time is a long time. I have long lost the concept of time by staying here. I only remember that there was someone who came before you. Compared to him, your child is really far behind. Old man, you can't talk nonsense about this. At least I'm also handsome and handsome. Just tell me who that person is, and ask him to stand up and compare with me. Huayu said somewhat unconvinced. That child may have already died in the river of time. I remember he said at that time, 2,000 years have passed since my time. By the way, that child seems to be called Xuanwu. Upon hearing the words of the old man in the void, Huayu was stunned and couldn't speak for a long time. What the hell, Xuanwu, is that the powerful Xuanwu who can lift the mountain's aura to the world? What else is this compared to? Am I worthy to compete with him? The hegemon of Western Chu, a generation of heavenly pride, with love and hate, righteousness and benevolence, unparalleled in the world and comparable to a god. In the battle of the giant deer, he was full of glory and achieved 9 victories in 9 battles. His subjects admired him and swung their swords straight at Xianyang. After World War I, he roared up to the sky, majestic all over the world. Such glory surpassed millions of heroes. What surprised Huayu the most was that Xuanwu was 2,000 years ago, and the era of the elderly was still 2,000 years before Xuanwu. Huayu twisted his fingers a bit strangely and calculated that for 4,000 years, it should belong to the Xia and Shang dynasties in China. Old man, who the hell are you? My name is Huayu, just an ordinary old man. It's raining. Huayu didn't expect such a person in history for a while, perhaps just like the old man said, just an ordinary old man. Excuse me, elderly man, why are you appearing in my spiritual world? If I can't figure it out, then I won't think about it. Huayu is more concerned about what the old man wants to do. Since you have obtained the Xuanwu pendant, it means that my younger brother has chosen you as the guardian. It's really rare for him to choose you with his eyes. I believe you must have some outstanding qualities. Clan brother selected me. Oh, you're talking about Mr. Xia. So your surname is Xia. As for what you're saying, maybe Mr. Xia just thinks I'm more handsome, It's also possible. The old man didn't refute, just asked, what's your name? Is it also called Yu? How do you know? My name is Huayu. Sure enough, everything is fate, the old man murmured to himself, Hua Xia. Hua Xia, God bless me Hua Xia. Huayu couldn't hear exactly what the old man was saying, only hearing him inexplicably start laughing. Old man, what are you laughing at? It's nothing, child. You must listen carefully to me next. The old man's tone gradually became serious. You must have given you 2 items from the old man's Xia in your mouth, one of which is a pendant called Xuanwu pendant, which is one of the 4 divine beasts of China pendant. It was handed over to me by Xuanwu himself in the past, and you must take good care of it. I know this, I will definitely cherish it, old man. If you say so, wouldn't it be that the other 3 pendants were also handed over to some people by the 3 divine beasts themselves? And where did the 4 divine beasts come from? Huayu asked a few questions like a curious baby. I'm not sure where the pendant came from, but the other pendants were indeed handed over to my 3 predecessors by the other 3 divine beasts. Wow! It's actually your senior. So, old man, you also know other guardians. The seniors were Yellow Emperor, Tang Yao, and Yu Shun. I naturally couldn't compare with the seniors, but fortunately, I was favored by Xuanwu and reluctantly became one of the 4 guardians along with the seniors. Wait, you let me slow down first. The words spoken by the elderly people shocked Huayu even more than the incident of crossing the river. Huangdi, Tang Yao, Yu Shun, you said your name is Hua Yu. Is it the great Yu who controlled the water? Child, do you actually know about the floods in my era? The old man was surprised this time. Well, even children know this in our area. But that child named Xuanwu doesn't seem to know, the old man said with some confusion. This may be because he was busy practicing martial arts and neglected reading books. Huayu was not sure whether the ancients knew about those histories, so he could only casually explain. What you said makes sense. No wonder I always felt like I was brave but not strategic when I saw him. I didn't want such a huge opportunity in front of him. The old man in the void nodded in agreement. Chu Ba Wang doesn't want it, you give it to me, I want it, I want everything, Huayu quickly said. Joke, will this wave take off directly? Child, don't worry, you already know this first opportunity. Let's continue talking about what's in your other box. Is that egg? Yes, since you can come to this world, it means that your first type must be a water type, and your first type in this world must be a summoning type. So now you have awakened these 2 types, right? How do you know? And you say this is me in this world, but is this body really me? Huayu stretched out his hand and asked with some uncertainty. First of all, you will only be recognized by me if you satisfy these 2 factions. After all these years, I have to find a home for my old buddy. As for the second question you asked, I can clearly tell you that this is you. I can do things that do not let my brothers take away others' bodies. But why do I feel like everything is so unfamiliar? The world is still that world, people are still those people, but the timeline may have changed. Huayu was stunned for a moment, but Hua Yu's words reminded him that he had traveled through time without asking which year it was now, which means this body may be his predecessor or afterlife. In this way, everything can be explained and Huayu can accept her identity with peace of mind. Anyway, it's all me, it doesn't matter. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Little boy, farewell to senior. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Little boy, farewell to senior, senior, please continue to talk about this egg. What is its origin? Huayu didn't know, so let it go. Now that he knew that this old man was the great Yu who controlled the water, Huayu respected him from the bottom of his heart, so he couldn't call him the old man anymore. But for a while, I didn't know how to call him, and after a while, I spat out a senior. It's okay, child. Don't be nervous. Since you already know about the old man's flood control, do you know what happened back then? Huayu shook his head and said, I don't know. The events of the past are too distant for future generations to verify. Let me tell you a story. In our era, demons were rampant, and although some people awakened and possessed magic, humans were still weak. Fortunately, there was a very special creature that we could barely survive in that era. Unlike demons, they had no intention of killing humans, but were willing to coexist and even protect them. We believed in these creatures, so we drew them on the flag of our own tribe and called them totem guardians. Originally, everything was safe and sound. The demons were afraid of these totem guardians and dared not attack our human territory. Our magicians did not provoke those demons until a traitor appeared among us humans, and everything changed. That person is called Gong. At that time, the positions of the other 3 guardians had already been determined, but the Xuanwu guardian, who was in charge of water in the north, had not yet been determined. Gong was known as the water god at that time, and according to reason, the person who had the most chance to become the Xuanwu guardian was him, followed by the old man. After all, the old man's water cultivation was far weaker than him, but in the end, Xuanwu still chose the old man because Gong had a vicious temperament and a tendency to kill. Because of this incident, Gong was very dissatisfied and secretly began to contact the group of ocean demon tribes. When we realized it was already too late, he had already destroyed the divine-level magic tool Buzhou Umbrella. The southern part of the human tribe had no protection from Buzhou Umbrella, creating a huge gap. The ocean demon tribe took the opportunity to send out 2 emperors, one was the Xuanwu with 9 heads, and the other was the one that could cut off wind and rain. In the water, they could hide their body shape and float. Under the leadership of Gong, the 2 emperors called for wind and rain, using floods to harm all beings in the world. At that time, the whole of China could be said to be a mess. Not all totem beasts are good at water warfare, so it can be imagined that if the flood is not eliminated, the consequences will be unimaginable. At that time, I was the strongest in the water system among all humans, and as a guardian of totems, this naturally fell on me. However, my opponents were 2 emperors and one who was even stronger than me. It was almost impossible for me to eliminate floods in front of them. Fortunately, I finally received the help of 2 totem beasts, one was Yinglong, the lower totem beast of Qinglong, and the other was Lu Wu, the lower totem beast of Baihu. In the final battle, although Lu Wu was defeated by Gong, he also stopped Gong's footsteps. With the help of Yinglong, the old man killed the floating fish, and Yinglong also dealt a heavy blow to Xuanwu. After biting off Xuanwu's most important head, Xuanwu grabbed the gap and fled. When we turned around to help Lu Wu, we found that Lu Wu had already died in battle. Yinglong was furious at this and shouted angrily in the sky. He didn't listen to the old man's advice and pursued Gong alone. In the end, it was said that both sides were injured, and he and Gong died together. Even the body couldn't be found. After this battle, I was also severely injured. After evacuating all the floodwaters, I found the 4 divine beasts with Lu Wu's body. I requested to use everything I had to exchange for the rebirth of this totem beast that died in battle for humanity. Originally, this request was rejected. In that era, a totem beast was much more important than a human powerhouse, and the cost of achieving this was too high. Fortunately, my efforts were not in vain. Finally, it was the green dragon, the leader of the 4 divine beasts, and the vermilion bird, who had mastered the power of rebirth. With the help of the 2 divine beasts, Lu Wu was given a chance to be reborn. At this point, Huayu stopped and finished telling his own story. There is too much information in the story of Huayu. Even Huayu, who is so clever, will have to digest it for a while, but he can also get an important piece of information from the end. Without any accidents, the egg I got from the big blind box was the reborn Lu Wu. So, are you planning for me to take care of Lu Wu, Senior? Upon hearing these words, Huayu did not rush to answer, as if examining Huayu with a pair of sharp eyes in the void. Huayu didn't urge either, just stood still and waited quietly. After a while, Huayu's voice came out of the void again. Yes, that's why I asked the next Xuanwu guardian to be a summoning type. I don't have a chance to fight alongside my former companions anymore, so I can only leave it to you. When will it come out? This egg has been quiet for 4,000 years, and Huayu doesn't have 4,000 years to wait for it. When you summon a type that can release mid-level magic, try binding a contract with it. If it recognizes you, it will respond to you. Senior, can Lu Wu really recognize me with my strength? Huayu asked with some uncertainty. Don't worry, Lu Wu is born with spirituality. Even if you haven't been bound yet, your summoning magic can still feed him. When practicing summoning in the underworld, try to be by Lu Wu's side as much as possible. This way, when he is born, you will be his closest person. Thank you, Senior. I understand now. I don't have much time left, good child. I beg you for something. Senior, you said, as long as it's something I can do, I will definitely complete it for you. At that time, the flood was not eradicated, and China was in trouble. I couldn't follow Ing Long to pursue Gong Gong, which caused Ing Long to die tragically. My husband Huayu was worthy of the world's people, worthy of Xuanwu, and worthy of Lu Wu, but only he was sorry for Ing Long. If you can find the body of Ing Long in the future, remember to help me bury it. At this point, Huayu's voice trembled slightly. Huayu nodded solemnly, raised his right hand, and swore, Little Huayu, if you can find the body of Ing Long in your lifetime, you will bury it heavily and guard its spirit for 7 days. If you violate this oath, everything I like will be painful, and everything I enjoy will be bitter. The figure in the void finally smiled with relief at this moment, and the already void body seemed to begin to dissipate. A bright light flew towards Huayu like fireflies on a summer night. This is the last thing I left for you. It can enhance the basic power of your water system, reaching twice as much as you used to. In addition, I have left some of my insights on water system moves in your mind. If you have time, you can take a look. Alright, I'm leaving. Huayu finished these words with some urgency, thought carefully, and made sure there was nothing missing before letting out a sigh of relief. At this point, his soul had almost completely dissipated. The help this old man has given himself is really great. Huayu quickly bent down at a 90-degree angle, edited with both hands, and shouted, Young man Huayu, congratulations to Senior Huayu. Have a good journey. He bowed for a long time without lifting his head, and could only barely hear a few intermittent words coming from the void. Good child, goodbye. End of this chapter.